Hello and welcome to part 7 of this Learning Mari for Beginners series. We're going to be going through channels and exporting. If you managed to stick with me through the car crash that was the previous colour space video, then don't worry, this one's going to be a lot easier. So very quickly before we begin, the final part of this series will be a live follow-along session where I texture a basic asset from start to finish. So far we discussed a lot of theory but not put it into practice, so if that sounds like something you want to see, then I recommend subscribing with notifications on here or following my Instagram to hear when that's happening. Should be fun. Cool. So channels and exporting. It's kind of the end of the pipeline, so let's get stuck in. Texture channels are probably a term that you've heard before. For this video, I'm just going to be talking about the implementation of them in Mari, not actually what every single channel should look like or what they do. If that's not something you're familiar with, then I recommend checking out my Texturing Theory 101 video where I go through all the usual maps, the channels, and what they do and how they should look. Cool, let's dive into Mari. So here I'm in my Squirtle scene that I set up previously. If you want to know more about that, then check out the other videos in my YouTube series. But today we're just going to be looking at the channels in this and how I would export textures. Cool. So a channel in VFX is basically any information that you're going to pump into a shader at render time. So when you've painted all that information for your different maps that you want to render with, inside of Mari, you need to make a channel to export it with. So if we take a look at my Squirtle scene here, it reads from left to right, and eventually at the very end, we get these nodes, which are channels inside of Mari. So channels are basically the export points. When you've painted all that data, it collects it all and then it exports it as texture maps for you that you can use inside of your renderer. So if we group all these, you can also see in my channel palette the name of them. If you're using layers, you'll have to use the channel palette. The great thing about the node graph is you get to see this all at once. So I'm just going to group all of these together, and these are my channels. So I've got one here called base color. Let's view that. Got one here called roughness. Got my normals, displacement, and a few others we might talk about later. So let's compare this roughness channel to what's being pumped into it beforehand. So this is my roughness channel, and this is the merge node going in it before. If I view these and switch between, you can see no difference. Nothing changes. Mari's thinking about it for a second, but that's it. And that's because all a channel is inside of Mari is it's basically this kind of empty node that just collates everything that's pumped into it and lets you export. That's all it is. That's all you're doing when you're making a channel node. They have some properties themselves. So if I double click this base color, for example, you can see it's got its size, it's got its bit depth, and it's got all its color space information exactly the same as a paint node is. So my roughness, for example, this is a scalar data map. So I've got this set to scalar data. My base color is not scalar, so I've got that unticked. So when you've created your amazing textures, all you need to do to export them is create a channel for them. So for example, you've painted your base color, which is what this is here. When you're done painting that, you need to make a channel for it. So let's make another channel for my base color here. So I'm going to call this base color, and I'm just going to call it 2 because I've already got one. Otherwise it's going to throw a fit about that. And I'm going to set it to 4K. The bit depth on this can be 8-bit, so I'll set that to 8-bit. And then you can see here, I'm going to ignore that. Don't need to change the color because it's getting all the information pumped into it, so that doesn't matter. And then here we've got all the color space options that we discussed in the previous video. Really important to set these correctly so that Mari can interpret this all correctly. Because this is my base color, then it's not raw data, it's not scalar data, and this I can leave as default. So that's all good. And then you can choose if you want to set it to all objects in your scene or just the current object that you're working with. I've got multiple objects in my scene. For example, the eye is a separate object, so I'm just going to do it for the body for now. But if you wanted to make the same channel for every single object, then you can do it like that. If I hit body only, that will make it. Great. So now what I can do, if I view this, by default, it's going to be empty. There's nothing going into it. You can see my eye's got color again because that's a separate object. For the sake of confusion, I'm just going to hide that. If we go back here now, so we can view this and there's nothing in there. And again, that's because a channel node by default is it's really empty. All it is kind of just an export point or this point where everything collects together. So now I'm going to plug my color in there. Let's view this again. And you can see, voila, my base color channel now has my base color information in it. And I can move this over here with the rest of my channels. This is just how I like to work. I like to have all my channels at the end. And you can see they're now going into something here. Well, what's this? This is a shader node. So personally, I like to view everything in Mari quite flat because then I can just see exactly how my maps look. But if you want to see how all those channels that you're texturing might affect a shader at render time, then you can make a shader, as we've kind of discussed in a couple of videos previously, and you can then plug in those channels, for example, my base color into the base color, my roughness into the roughness, and my normal into my normal. Let's do that. Make sure it's the correct one, and we can view this now. Make sure I've got lighting on. And there we have a very shiny Squirtle. So this shader node here, I could always just plug this merge node straight into the roughness of this. I don't need to use the channel, but the benefit of using channels with shaders is A, it's named quite nicely. I know exactly where my base color node is because it's at the very end of my node tree. I don't have to find random nodes to plug in. They're all just here collected nicely. Also, as we discussed in the previous video, even when you're doing color space right in Mari, sometimes it doesn't appear right or it can muck up. So the beauty of a channel node is you're kind of defining how it's dealing with color right at the very end, and you know that that's plugged in correctly. All your scalar maps are scalar, your color maps are color data, and so on and so forth. So I recommend making sure that your shaders are plugged into channels correctly at the end rather than just into random merge nodes. Cool, so you've made amazing textures, you're ready to get them out of Mari into Maya, or whatever render package you're using to get some renders going. How do we do that? Well, you might think file, export, let's export those textures, but that's not how it works inside of Mari. Inside of Mari, you need to export the information going into channels. So the way to do that is if I right click my channel here, I can go to File, Export, and we've got this thing called the Export Manager. So we've got all these other options, for example, export selected channel node flattened, and you can export all channel nodes flattened. Personally, I wouldn't recommend these. I had a mate who was learning Mari recently, and he was messaging me. He was like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. These are a little bit buggy. They're not being updated. They're kind of the old way of doing things. The Export Manager is the safest way to do it, so I do recommend doing that. I'm going to click that open here. If you've used Substance before, you might be familiar with this sort of layout and the options that you've got here, so I really do recommend it. If you're not using the node graph, then you can right click on your channel up here and go to the Export Manager that way. Cool, so when the Export Manager is opened up, you will see we've got all of our channels here. We've got some other options. Let's run through them and get my textures exported. So the top option is the export root path. This is basically the folder that your textures are going to export to. So you can click this button here and choose a different folder. Then the default one, I don't know what it is by default, but I've set mine up already because I've previously exported these. Underneath that, we've got the settings for different objects. If you have multiple objects inside of your scene, then you're going to want to set them up per object. Mari doesn't let you do them all at once. You can export multiple objects at once, but you need to change different objects to change the settings. So we're going to set this up just for my body to begin with. And you can see here, I've got the channels that I've made. So I can tick on and off different channels. So for example, if I wanted to activate this base color 2 that I just made, then I can do that here. Let's export that and this roughness and maybe my normal as well. Let's do that. So these are my channels. I've got some other options, so I can change the size. By default, it will just read the source. The source is the channel properties that we set up when we created it. That's being read by the Export Manager. That's why it's really important to set that up correctly. If I do want to overwrite that, however, for example, I can click this. I can export them as just 2K. I could do 8K if I really wanted. Quick note on that, it's not like Substance. Mari isn't vector based, so if you up-res your texture resolution, it's not going to make it any sharper, it's just going to make the image bigger. So I'm going to set that same as source to begin with. We've got these color space options, so if you want to override the color space at export, after that we've got bit depth. Again, it's just reading the channel information. You can see here my original base color was set to 16-bit. I don't need 16-bit, I just need 8-bit for my base color. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to override that, and I can set that to 8-bit, and now you can see it's bright yellow because it's being overwritten. That's just telling you that you've changed something and it's going to export it differently to the setup in your scene. So you can see here I've got this option box called file name. Now this one's super important. Basically this changes the naming conventions when you export. So I've got this kind of weird looking string. I've got this $sign. Well, what is this? This is a wildcard. So basically it's not going to write out $channel into the texture that it exports. It's actually going to pick up the channel name from the channel, and it's going to pick up the UDIM number from the UDIM that's exporting. If I hover over this, you can see we've got these wildcard options that you can add in. So you can add in other things. For example, you could add in $color space, and that would put the color space into the name of the exported file as well. My default settings, as you can see, is $channel.$udim.tiff, and that will give me, for example, on this, it'll be basecolor.1001.tiff, basecolor.1002, 1003, so on and so forth. And I think that's a really good naming convention. Maya can pick that up well. If you want to change the file type, you would think that you would change it here by double clicking this, but this is just options for that file type. If you want to change it, let's say I wanted to make this a PNG, for example, then I could do that here, and now it's a PNG, and I can double click that and it's giving me more options, or I can make it an EXR, but I'll turn this back to TIFF because it's my base color. This final one status, basically this is telling me that it's gonna, when it exports, it's gonna overwrite. Because I've already exported with these settings, it's seeing that there are images there. It's basically telling me that, watch out, If you export this currently, it's going to overwrite what was previously there, which is fine for me because I don't mind updating those. So when that's good to go, we've got a couple of extra options down here. Instead of overriding these settings individually, I can override them all at once. So if I want to change everything to 2K, for example, instead of 4K, I can select that, and now it do that. Or I can turn it back to no overrides. Same with the bit depth if I want to make everything 32-bit. Voila, don't know why you would want to, but it's there. This one's quite useful. Patches, basically UDIMs, so you can either export only the selected UDIMs or everything. By default, you probably want to do everything, but if you, in a pinch, you just really quickly want to update a single UDIM, you can select it in your scene, change this to selected, and it will only bake out that UDIM, which is great. So I'm going to turn that to all. So we've got two options here when we're exporting. We've either got export current, export all. Basically, export current is the current selected object that you have. Export all will export the other one, so it will also do the settings that you've set up for any other objects in your scene. For now, export current is fine. So yeah, I'm going to click this, see what happens. It's going to give me this warning. Basically, like the status bar was saying, we already have some images named the same in this folder. If you do this, you're going to overwrite them. That's fine by me. I don't mind overwriting, so I'm going to click that. This can take a long time. So down here, we've got this progress bar, which is telling me how far through it is. So yeah, I recommend sometimes you need to go and just make a cup of tea. So I'm going to let that calculate and see what happens. So I'm inside of my export folder here, and you can see it's exported these textures for me. So I've got my shell, I've got all the different UDIMs, base color 1004, base color 1003, and it's named correctly, it's .tiff. And you can also see I've got my normals and my displacement. These are EXRs, so Windows doesn't let me view it nicely. So yeah, that's how to export things inside of Mari. So one thing I should mention, inside of Mari, you can kind of make a channel for anything. So I've got my normal base color, my displacement, my normal kind of PBR textures, but also I've got this one called mask beak. So let's have a look at this. And this is just the black and white scalar map that I'm exporting to use inside of Arnold to mask out the beak if I want to make color corrections, which is what I was using it for. If I wanted to change the SSS, for example, in those areas, anything like that, I can use that. I've also got this one called displacement add. So this is an additional displacement map that I'm using inside of Arnold to add little white bits of crust on top, and I'm just merging those together inside of Arnold. So yeah, that kind of brings this video on channels and exporting to a close. This is probably the final video in this series in this current format. I will be doing a final live video you can follow along, as I mentioned earlier. So subscribe to hear when that's up, or follow any of my socials. Links are all below. Cool, I've been Michael Wilde. This has been Mari for Beginners. Hope you learned something. Take it easy. Have a good one.